Hey everybody, what's good? YouTube, Facebook, all my peeps. I appreciate y'all tapping into this very first episode of Black America on Track. We're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on YouTube, just so we can get this message out there. The preface of this series is going to be making sure people are informed of the issues, and we're not talking about the political issues. The issues that concern the citizens is what's more important, right? The issues of understanding how government works, how you get involved in government, and those things to help make your communities and states better. And as a whole, if we do that, we can make all 50 states and territories a better place. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it here. As you see me on the left side here, I'm Roderick, and my lovely cousin over on the right hand side, Miss Tonza Thomas. What's going on, sister?
Yeah, primary elections yesterday.
Oh yeah, how'd that turn out?
Really? Currently, our Secretary of State is not going to say the party, but it was a disaster in our neighborhoods. Very great friend of mine and co-alumni of my high school. She was running for District 4 of City Council.
Okay.
There were at least 3 churches in her district who totally had a meltdown when it came to the voting machines. And in my own very precinct, in my district, which is District 3, had a meltdown at a church that was a polling place.
Wow.
So there were 4 churches, which were predominantly African American in Columbus yesterday, had a meltdown.
Wow.
And it was sad. It's very sad. But my friend came out the victor. So I'm good about that.
No, that works. That definitely works. I hate to hear, especially in the midst of, we're dealing with, should we do mail-in ballots? Should we not? The voting machine issue. I mean, there's so many things going on right now. It will make the average, the average citizen, average American, it'll make their head spin, because they're always told, like, one way or the other on the issue, and they need to stick that way, but they don't have the full landscape of what the election process looks like from the bottom up. They just see, they go in, they hit a couple keys on the screen, or you hit the little punch ballot, whatever, and it's over. They think that's over, but there's more before that. Before you even get to that ballot box, that you need to know and understand. And I'd like to go through that, go through that, and help our fellow citizens understand, what it means when it comes to voting, the whole process, not just punching a ballot because of they have a D or an R or an L or an I next to their name. So let me ask you this. Let me start off the discussion like this. What do you think about mail-in ballots?
Unless you have observers there, then I wouldn't trust the Board of Election to do absentee ballots. You got to have somebody sitting there counting them. And then there's hours of counting them hand by hand, ballot by ballot. And so I think because of the pandemic, it was a great way to go. However, looking at the polls opened up yesterday after the state has opened up, I don't think it would have been any different, because we had a meltdown in Georgia yesterday. Our polls our elections are supposed to be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Right.
Well, the court allowed us to keep the polls open to 9 p.m. because we had so many
Oh,
machine that malfunctioned from
wow.
Atlanta and everywhere else.
Wow.
So yeah, it was rough in Georgia yesterday.
Wow. How were the lines? How were the lines down there for voting? Were they pretty long, or is it pretty people were getting in and out kind of quickly?
Well, I was a poll watcher at Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church, which is predominantly African American. There was a
Okay.
steady flow. It was a steady flow, and we would only let 20 people, 25 people in at a time. And I
Mm,
was there from 7-ish to 1-ish,
okay.
but it was after 1. But we had a steady flow,
Mm-hmm.
steady flow. However, at Canaan Baptist Church, where one of the breakdowns were, they had a line almost down the street. It was around the corner from the church, at the back of the church,
Wow.
and there was one point at 7 p.m. There were 100 people still standing in line waiting to cast their ballot.
Wow, that sounds like us in 2018. Because down here in our rural counties like San Juan County, San Pete County, Iron County, which is down south, we they had to literally leave the polls open until like 9, 10 o'clock at night, literally,
Yes.
because I mean there were people,
So I think,
back for a minute.
but what was the breakdown with that happening in 2018? Because we had our own 2018 debacle.
Well, ours was it was too many people came at one time, right? Because the thing is with Southern Utah is rural like southeast Georgia, outside of Atlanta and Waycross, it's very rural. So people like down that way, they work down in a town like called St. George or Cedar City, and those are like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from their home counties, and it's not like they could take off work and go vote, right? And the
Right.
smart people, right, they stayed home, went and voted, and went to work. But the people that couldn't do that, they had to haul tail back, and now you got these lines super long in the rural areas. It's here. It's a special case here because once you get down south of what's called Spanish Fork, Utah, it's desert.
Mhm.
It's literally desert for four and a
Wow.
half hours, and then you have certain roads that go, in and off to the smaller towns. But, these smaller towns, these people work in the bigger towns, either up here, Salt Lake, or down St. George way. And it just, at the time the polls were closing, it was loaded. So I mean that's and with that election too, it was the election obviously for the lower chamber of Congress in some cases for some states or some senators. So people were really rushing, and our holdup was because it was Mia Love versus Ben McAdams, right? And these were precincts that were integral in the process for Congressional District 4 here in Utah, even though Mia Love lost by like 812 votes. But it came down like literally like a week or so later after they recounted all the ballots and everything. So yeah, if they would have closed those polls down there, on time, a lot of people wouldn't have voted. There's no telling which way that election would have went. So
Well, our 2018 was our gubernatorial race between Leader Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp.
Kim,
And
yeah.
we had equipment with no power cord, meaning the voting machines with no
Wow.
power cord, or not enough voting machines in our heavy districts. So that caused
Mm,
longer lines. Yes. So
right.
I don't know. We just switched over to a new system, which is called Secure to Vote, which is basically we voting by machine. They printed
Mm-hmm.
out us paper, um, the paper ballot after we done cast it, put it
Mm-hmm.
in the machine, and then you really have a paper trail. However, there were people that walked away from the polls. So even though we had breakdowns caused people to walk away from the polls. It's similar
Right.
to what you're saying. You have to drive this long way.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, we were at city council last night, and there were a couple of ladies that were with us that still hadn't cast their vote. So once we left city council, it was well after 8 o'clock. And this young lady who was a part of the victory campaign, she had to go and cast her vote before the polls closed, so she got to the event. like well after the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so much going on last night. We have not gotten any sleep. And so team no sleep, we still going.
Team no sleep. And that's who you gotta be, especially when it comes to that to the whole voting bit. Now let me
Yes.
ask you this: how do we fix that? Right? How do we fix that issue before we actually let's don't even think about fixing the issue, right? Let's go back to the beginning before you even get to the polls. And I think it's very important that our folks know, what their constitutional and civic duty is in voting. It's not just walking up to the poll and someone sounds good and like, oh, they sound
Yes.
good, or they have a letter behind their name. Okay, that's the letter I vote, and they just punch it down, not even looking at the issues. Right?
Come on,
Right?
cousin.
Right? I say this all the time, right? Because my premise is what I teach, right? And I go to heavily Democrat areas. I go to Republican. I mean, Republicans are around me, right? I mean, this is pretty much a Republican state. But I go to the heavily Democrat areas, and I just tell them like, hey, I'm not going to tell you to sway Republican, but you have to understand when you're in a state that is majority Republican, I think it's your civic duty, and you have to understand like you need to vet these candidates, regardless of what's behind their name. You know what I mean? And I think we have lost that, in our way over the last 30, 40 years. We've lost that way of just vetting the candidate, regardless if you don't like him or her or their political affiliation. Understand their positions. You might end up seeing you might have common ground on some issues. It's like, okay, all right, this may be good, right? And vice versa, right? I tell my Republican friends the same thing. You go listen to what the Democrats, what they're saying. You might be surprised you have common ground.
Yes.
Instead of
we do. Yes, we do. There's always one thing that we can agree on.
Yeah.
Always one thing. If it wasn't that, well, I'll tell you what that one thing is without going all the way around the world.
Mm-hmm.
That flag behind you. That flag behind you. We could not take a knee at a football game. So let's talk about the flag. That's something that can bring us together to try to sort of understand politics or politics, whichever one you want to use. But we got to find something.
Right?
Right. But we got to find something to bring us in the room and start having the conversations, because like you said, just because you got that letter behind your name doesn't necessarily mean that you know everything.
Right.
We got subject matter experts in everything. Like, I love to listen to you break down the history of certain things. I'm like, listen to him. Now, I might have my way of thinking, but I have to listen to you and say, God, on something. So we got to learn from each other. We got to learn from each other.
That's exactly it. I mean, if we even go back, right, even outside of the voting bit, talking about history, the founders of this country despised political parties. They despised it.
Yes.
They despised it for this reason. This division we're seeing right now is the reason why they despised it.
Yes. Because, and if you were to tell somebody that, they won't believe you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all they got to do is read the Federalist Papers. It's in Federalist Paper number 3. Number 4. Yes. Let me take that back. Where it talked about Jefferson talked about not having political parties, and it's like, and look at the damage that it's done to our country, because everybody is so entrenched because of their letter that they vote for, and it's like, this makes no sense. It mind boggles me. So I mean, to come back to the present with this, right? I mean, we have to. I think both the major parties, we have to hit the ground and educate people on how to vet candidates. Understand how to vet the candidates and see if they align or not, whatever, or just at least listen out, because I mean, I heard a lot of people say, bad things about Brian Kemp, right? And it's like, and I asked them, do you know his policy positions? They're like, well, no. I said, then you can't sit there and say you hate the man, but don't know the man's policy positions. Have you looked it up? Have you even leased it to his website and looked up his policy positions? No, then you have no right to sit there and chastise someone when you don't know their positions.
Right. Brian Kemp just had some. I wouldn't even. He ain't had no position. Well, my Democratic horns came out.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's why we have these discussions, right? That's why we have these discussions.
A few years back, we actually bird dog Brian Kemp. There was a few ladies from the NAACP and oh my goodness, they're gonna kill me. Georgia Wand, which is Georgia Action National Women's Network or something like that.
Okay.
But Georgia Wand was bird dogging him, going to different cities, and we get there and we not really heckle him, but ask him questions and stuff. And only thing he was concerned about was taking pictures with our face. And he took pictures and put on his website. He said, NAACP women support Brian Kemp. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what you got out of our conversation? Really?
A lot of politicians try to run that in the round, man. I kind of got I was in the same situation with a few of the Republicans here in this state try to run and do a photo op. I'm like, bro, I said, we might be Republicans, but we ain't on the same team here. No. You know, we got some different things going on here, and you just trying to roll up and say, oh, I want to endorse. No. It don't work that easy. It don't work that easy. The photo ops, no, we just done with the photo op stuff, man. You know,
right?
But again, it's up to the local people, right, to make sure they vet the candidates correctly, right?
Right.
And make sure, okay, I know I don't agree with this person. They have 10 positions, and I don't agree with 9 of them. I don't think I'll vote for that guy. That's an informed vote, right? That's an informed vote, right?
Right.
But, you know, this voting blindly, in a lot of places, and I'm going to be very blunt about this because I spoke about this on Facebook Live on my UBRA Facebook, and all the chaos that's going on right now is because of the failure of local politics. It's the failure of the people not being informed of what they're voting for. I lay that at the citizens' feet, because if you look at the towns, right, and I know they didn't really burn nothing up in Columbus, right? They didn't get crazy in Columbus, right?
They wanted to. They wanted to.
But see, here's the thing: y'all were on it, and y'all were your voters are informed, right? Because they know what they voted for, and y'all are on it. Like y'all are on it. Like y'all need to switch some things up.
Yes, I will say that they're more educated on some things.
Right.
But we always can do better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Always. I mean, and it's important that we, especially for Black folk, we need to make sure we drill down on those issues and get in. You know what I mean? Understand, vet the candidate, regardless if you don't. But again, if he has whatever letter he has next to his name or her. You know, you need to be in their face, finding out what they're talking about.
Yes.
And then be informed. And then that way you can counter their positions, you know, in arguments. But if you can sit there, I don't know why I don't like him, maybe because he's a Republican. Like that's just ill-informed. Very
right.
ill-informed.
And so here we go. If we can't vet, this is what hurts us too. If we can't vet a candidate prior to the election, then let's find someone that we could build.
Right. Yes.
And I'm more for building people from the communities in which they already live, not somebody coming in and taking over, but somebody already living in those communities who have Lord, I don't know how often I have to say this, but I'm going to say it. Somebody can come in from out of town. They could be a lawyer, they could be a doctor, and they can be elected in office because of their professional career and not what's in their heart.
Right.
If voters vote their conscience, then we'll be okay. But again, some of those folks that we have elected in office, either they got a familiar last name or they're incumbents. And even as an incumbent, they've been in office 20, 30 years. If you look at the community in which they've served and they have done absolutely nothing. Well, there's somebody in their community that's talking about it and that's ticked off about it. But if we take that person, clean them up, polish them up, we can always, build a candidate.
That's right.
That's
And
my
see,
thing.
and the problem, right? And this is a problem with even with Congress. But again, I'm going to stay down here at the local level because that's what we're talking about. So I can run up that ladder all day and point out.
We're gonna go up that ladder though after we talk about local. We got to.
Yes. The thing is that Americans have got to a point where they appeal to authority. That's the problem. Oh, he's a lawyer. He's a doctor. Oh, he must know everything. And it's like, but you have Joe right here that has been working in the community to slow down the school to prison pipeline. You know what I mean? He's down here, coaching youth in sports and things like that. I think that person will know more about what's going on in the ground than someone coming from states away and just drop it in here and thinking, oh, I'm this and I know this, and people just appeal to that authority. We got to stop that. We have to stop that as a whole.
So what is after we done been diagnosed, because you just gave a great diagnosis, what is the cure for that?
The cure for that is going to be education, actually sitting people down and having them understand. Well, actually, it's two parts. The first part is the education piece, right? We sit down and we educate these folk on what the role of the local government is. I don't even want to distract them with the state government. I don't want to distract them with the federal government. The role of the federal government, because again, the local government has the most power over your life. Once they understand the dynamics of that, then we can get into, molding them into community leaders, right? We can also, in that same token, we need to introduce these people to people in the community that are leaders, right? And those community leaders are willing to be mentors to these young folk, right? That want to come up, or even the older folk that see an issue but don't know how to, formulate it or polish themselves. They can go to these community leaders and like, hey, I want to get a message out. This is what I want to do. And the community come in and mold that person into the leader. And then you stay with local politics, right? And that's an epiphany for me, because for a while, I didn't say I appealed to the federal government, state government, but I didn't realize the lack of understanding I had when it came to local politics, like local politics. I thought about local politics from a federalism standpoint, right? And where our liberties and freedoms on every level is. But then I didn't sit down and think about these people on the city council, they are all part of like big business. They're part of all this stuff. And none of these people are from the actual community leaders that are doing work in the community that understand.
Thank you. And then when you go to city council, they ignore you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sure enough, because you're not part of the corporate community, right? And it's like, that's the wrong mindset. You want someone there that's been beating the street for, I'd say a minimum 5 years, right? That's been out there in the game for at least 5 years. And that's where our leaders need to come from. And this is, as far as the Black community is concerned, the Black Americans concerned, this is where we can come up, right? Forget about the state level, forget about all that, right? You can come up on the community level because guess what? The votes are there. The votes will be there, especially if they know, hey, he was the deacon at such and such Baptist church, and he does this, that, and the third with the community, right? The votes are going to be there. The vote represent. But then alternatively, they turn around and say, oh, well, this guy's running, or and the shady thing that political parties do is someone will be in the spotlight, but then they'll try to shade them to the side, right?
Yeah.
And we know that happened in 2016, right? I mean, granted, I don't agree with Bernie, but the way they did Bernie was wrong. The way they did it was outraged as all the other Democrats were. So I'm like, you understand that you just thwarted the people's vote in the primaries. You just told them their vote didn't matter.
Right.
That upset me more than anything. You know,
I have a problem with Bernie though.
Oh, I mean, I think we all do, but just the fact, the way that they did him,
they did it. I got you,
and it's like,
I got
because I'll be mad if Republicans did it. I'll be completely upset if Republicans did the same exact thing, because again, that's like silencing people's vote.
So let me ask you this question, because this is what happened in our party.
Okay.
Now we had a couple of people who were Republican. Who had a conversation with the Republican chair, who said, if you run Democratic, you will win. You cannot win running Republican. So please, that part. We got somebody running for Senate right now who was a former Republican, became a 2-term mayor of Columbus, and is running for Senate. I'm like, wait a minute. I know we're not going to give our votes to this candidate who we know was a Republican prior to coming to Columbus, not from Columbus, coming to Columbus, becoming the mayor, because she sweethearted the African American preachers. Yeah, what do you think?
You know how often that happens, and I can tell you right now, and I can't disclose names, but there are Republicans here in Utah that run as Democrats because they felt they couldn't have your voice heard on the Republican side of the aisle. So they would go, they switched to Democrats so their voice would be heard. And I'm like, really? Is it really like that? They're like, yeah. I'm like, that's screwed up. That really screwed up.
This guy actually came to our meeting, our chair. Had a conversation with him. She was like, I have an issue that you are a Republican. And he straight up stood up and said that his Republican chair asked him to come run as a Democrat because that very issue. Now, he did win re-election because he was the only person on the ballot. But I have an issue with that, and I want to know how we can fix that, because it's like sheep and wool clothing.
You really can't. You know what I mean? It's a really, the only way you can.
People, do y'all hear that? He just answered you. We cannot change it.
See, here's the thing, right? Because there's a lot of things that's involved in that, right? First of all, it's your either state chair or your county chair, right? And I think most of you guys' Senate seats are multi-county, so that would be your state, right? Is that correct? So
correct.
Okay, so it would be your state chair that would have to shut it down, right? Because I mean, if we go constitutionality, the First Amendment, freedom of association. I mean, we can't jump that, right? So it becomes a moral issue of the parties that allow this to happen and the chairs that are elected and allow this to happen, right? Because it shouldn't happen. But I understand the freedom of association. It's a touchy thing. I mean, you can't really stop it because, but the intentions behind it is just, you know what I mean? It's ill. It's like ill intentions. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, the only way you're going to stop it is get a chairman in there, a state chairman in there that says, no, we're not doing this. So, but there's other factors involved with that too, though. I'm sure.
Absolutely, because it's beneficial to the Democratic Party just to have a name that there's a Democratic candidate running in that race.
So I don't even understand what the Republicans are doing then, if that's the case.
I mean, that was our very issue. It was like, but there's no Republican candidate. Like, well, he just ran in the last race as a Democrat to get on the ticket because there was more than one person on the ticket the first time.
Right.
So maybe he was thinking that it's going to happen again. He's going to be running against more than one person. So out of his, I did it before, I can do it again.
Right.
But our county chair checked him. He still was able to run as a Democrat, though. And he won re-election like that because he was the only person on the ballot.
Sounds like I need to come to Muskogee County and run for the county chairmanship there for Muskogee County Republicans and set the whole thing straight. They don't want that fire though. They don't want that fire. They don't want that because we'd be locked down central. But anyway, we ain't getting on that. But seriously, like, I mean, we have to educate from the bottom, and we have to. And the biggest thing that I see, and both sides do this a lot, alarmingly, is they'll take sound bites and say, "Oh, he said it," and it's like, that's not how you vet someone, right? That's not right. You have to go and find the information, and be like, okay, that's not what it said. Because I mean, the media is very good at manipulating us. They are very good at it. And that's both sides. That's CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, all of them. They all play the manipulation propaganda game. They all play it. And they try
to know our emotions. We run up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's we have to. I mean, we have to look past that and look past headlines, right? Because what they've gotten really good at now is making the headlines sound inflammatory, but put the truth of the matter at the bottom of the article, because people they'll read all the propaganda first and then that last paragraph. Well, this is this, and it's like, really? Is this what y'all doing? It's like, y'all, people are
giving us all the fluff.
Exactly. And it's like, we have to look through that, because at the end of the day, they can fight like Crips and Bloods up there on a federal level, Republicans versus Democrats, but that ain't doing nothing. Again, what about down here? Where we at down here, right? What y'all doing down here? Right. So again, still add on, right? It's, the education piece and making sure, letting people know, hey, vet your candidates, right? Second of all, do y'all have county delegates and state delegates in both parties there, or how does that work out for y'all leading up to primary?
We do both, and most of us are fine with our candidates for selection people, but we trust those folks to come back and give us the correct information. These are, even though we have to vote regardless, you got to run for it, and we have to vote on them. They pretty much automatically do like any other election, because we trust our party officials to do what's right for the party.
Right.
So I don't have an issue at all. Now, when I have issues, I will say, but I don't have an issue with the way that we do it.
Right. And with that, right, with the vetting and all that stuff leads up to the voting piece, right? Now, I tell everybody right from the jump, government, and I'm relating to the mail-in ballots, okay? Government is not supposed to help you exercise your rights. They're supposed to protect your rights. And people conflate those all the time. They think government should make you have to vote. right? When they're only supposed to protect your right to vote. It's your choice to vote or not, right? And that's the thing I
Right.
think mail-in balloting does, except for our soldiers overseas, things like that, right? And there's cases where mail-in ballots are necessary, like for the elderly that can't get out their house, things like that,
Right.
right? I
Right.
can see the mail-in ballot remedy for that, but I have a different remedy for that that's
Right.
even more, has more accountability. But I'll talk about that in a little bit. But mail-in balloting sets the precedent that the government can make you exercise your rights when they're
So
only
on
supposed
this, sorry for cutting you off, but on
No, you're
this
fine.
go around, I think mail-in ballots worked. I'm gonna say being given the opportunity to have a mail-in ballot work during this pandemic, and because we opened up our primary, I mean, we voted in March, and then we knew we were going to vote in May, but we couldn't vote in May because of the pandemic. So because we didn't know we were going to be back open up in June, they sent these mail-in ballots or application for mail-in ballot to everybody in Georgia who was eligible to vote. But if you look at those lines yesterday, people want to no mail-in ballots. We like to go to the polls. So I appreciate giving us the opportunity to do it in a pandemic. That wouldn't just be the way to go.
Right. See, my thing is, and I actually wrote up a 22-page plan for the pandemic response that countered the mail-in balloting. And basically it's like it's canvassers, right? You get you a group of canvassers, and you go around to the people that can't go out. You have an iPad, right? You let the folks vote right in their front door, right? Print out their ballot, right? Because you got a little eye printer, print out their ballot and hand it to them, and then have them accountable. And then you'll have other people with the canvasser, one or two people with the canvasser, to hold the canvasser accountable for that ballot, so that it doesn't look like they did it themselves. And obviously the person doing the punching the ballot will sign it, right? That way it's electronically transmitted. It's gone, just like it would be a vote. It's a mobile voting booth, basically, right?
Like
That
Vote Builder.
Right, exactly. Yes. And you can, and it's electronically transmitted automatically, right? And then there's no mail. It could get lost in the mail. None of that. It's just transmitted immediately. I mean, we do it for the census, right? So it's like we can do the same thing for people that can't get to the polls. So that's like my counter, to that. But obviously, that with the logistics behind it, there's a lot of logistics behind that, and it has to go into, okay, do you plan on voting? Okay, yes or no, right, kind of deal. And you would only hit those houses, but the only problem with that would be, what if they decide they're going to vote last minute? How do you account for them, right? So that's where it becomes an issue. So I would say just go to their home anyway, that's voting, and say, hey, you want to vote today? This is how it works. Boom, and that will tear down mail. I think that would be a better choice, better solution than mailing voting in a lot of cases.
As a former canvasser, I think it would be problematic because we talking about America. We were doing canvassing. We laughing. We were doing canvassing for Stacey Abrams in South Georgia. We done got shot at. We done got dogs sick on us. Yes. And we talking about Buena Vista, Georgia.
I know Buena Vista. Oh, yeah.
Yes. And so back on them backcountry roads, you don't want to be knocking on nobody's door on them backcountry roads, cuz. So it's problematic. And again, this is America. So when you see a black face walking up to your door, even though we're trying to help you fulfill your civic duty, this is America. And we may have more of the issues that we've seen on the streets play out, because a lot of people don't want you to come to their house.
You're right. You dead right. I want to give it one time. I gotta give a shout out to Aunt Cleta. She joined the stream. She said hi. So,
Hey,
hi, Aunt Cleta.
cuz Cleta.
Yeah, cuz auntie, it's all that. It's all that up in here today. For real. Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
you're saying though about the canvassing bit, right? And I think they
Mhm.
would have to send out some sort of notice ahead of time saying, hey,
Mhm.
we're gonna have canvassers come by collect votes. But see, that's part of the logistical issue I didn't think about. So, definitely thank you for that. That would be something I, go back and look at my proposal and add in there and figure out how that would work out. But I just there's just so many. I mean, there are so many errors that can happen with both. The question is which one is
Right.
going to be more effective for your area. Like here, right?
Right.
They already they automatically mail the ballots out automatically here. Automatically
Mhm.
mail them out, right? And I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
do that. I go to the polls. You know what I mean? But it's like it's in your
Yes.
face. It's in your face, and it's that much easier to do. And it's like,
Yes.
no, because I want to go get my sticker. I want to get my sticker across my lapel saying I voted. You know what I mean? I mean, there's
Yes.
pride in that. I
So,
vote.
as a poll watcher yesterday, I saw a
Uh-huh.
lot of that. I saw people who had applied for the absentee ballot, brought the absentee ballots in. They was like, okay, I want to vote. And so the poll manager would say, okay, well, you got to sign this affidavit
Mm-hmm.
to say that you registered and received the absentee ballot, but you don't want to cast your vote this way. You wanted to do it in person. So they get them to, sign it off. And then they put that affidavit into the box on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So the poll manager never touches it. The only thing that the poll manager touches is a pen saying, this is what you chose to do, sign off on it. But I agree. I mean, I would have, I love things being convenient because my life is so fast paced as an activist. I was not finna accept no absentee ballot. No, let me go see y'all. Let me see the process. And I'm like, you give me my sticker and say I
Right,
voted.
right, right. Exactly.
At the end of
We.
the day, you can send that paper in,
Mm-hmm.
but who's to say that paper even was counted?
Right.
That's why I love going and mashing the buttons on the voting machine.
Right. There's a sense of there's pride, right? There's
I don't
pride
trust.
in exercising your constitutional rights. There's always a pride in that, right? Regardless of who you vote for. I know we got to wrap this up in a little bit here. And I'll leave the last word
Not
with
trust
you
them. I'm
here,
just saying,
right?
you
I'll leave.
know, and it is again, it's the history of American and voting,
Mm-hmm.
um, and especially in our communities. I just don't trust the process. But yes. So what I will say is, um, I'm very proud of what I've seen around the country from the beginning of this year to now, local elections. But it's been happening happening around the country in each of their own local elections, people are turning out to vote. They had put out radio ads saying in Georgia, if you requested an absentee ballot, please mail it back in. There were over 1 million people that did not turn theirs back in. Those people showed up to the polls yesterday.
They were smart.
Amazing.
They were smart. I wouldn't have mailed my ballot back in either.
Because they was like, nope, we don't want you to get this piece of paper. Because let's talk about Florida for a second. In the tags, and we finding stuff in the trash, and we've been through that before,
right?
So it was exciting to see them, though they had requested absentee ballots when the polls opened up and we could actually go in. It was beautiful to see.
That's good. I like to hear that. I'm gonna go ahead and
Georgia.
I'm gonna go ahead and end with these last words here, and I urge. And this message is
all I got.
All right, this message is for kinfolk in particular. Run for office. Run for office. Run for something. You know, we've seen the slogan all the time. Run for something. I want to challenge you.
It's on you.
You know, I want to challenge you to get involved with your local politics. Because that is more important than anything. Knowing what your community is doing at the local level.
What is going on?
It sounds like we probably got some crazy internet things going on here. But I urge you to run for something. I don't care if it's, you know what I mean? You want to be president, NAACP, city council. Run for something. Support your community.
It was good though. So.
And
I have no issues, but we need to fix the problems of these voting machines. We're spending all this money for voting machines, and there's no reason we still having long lines.
Okay, it sounds like we're probably on delay because it sounds like it's repeating on me here. Sorry, y'all that are watching live.
But today,
y'all watching live, you're probably hearing different feedbacks, whatever. I don't know what's going on, but again, I urge y'all to run for office. You know, get in your city politics. Forget your state politics. Forget federal politics. They don't matter. Run for the local level. Get in city council. Get, you know, if you know, those of you that have county councils in your counties, get in your county councils, right? I mean, because it's important. These are our communities that we have to live in. And if we just pass our votes off and people don't listen to us, we need to change it, right? And I'm going to use, rest in peace, Mr. George Floyd. I'm going to use this situation as an example of why people that don't pay attention to local politics, policies break down. And we got to hold these people accountable at every single turn. And if you try to hold them accountable and they don't want to receive the accountability, vote their behind out, or you run behind them and fix it. This is where we need to have our focus. Everything that happens in this country is local. Everything is local. So we need to make sure we get into our councils and we raise hell. If you got county councils, you raise hell until you get what you want. Because at the end of the day, you have to live in this community. And if you didn't participate or try to influence change, you have nothing to complain about. So Here's the challenge. Here's the call to action challenge I have for all my kinfolk. 2022 will be here real quick. It'll be here real quick. Are you running for office?
Yeah.
Run for office. It doesn't cost a lot to run for office. Go down to your city clerk or county clerk's office and find out how much it is to put your name on the ballot. And then you get out there and talk to people in your district. It's not that hard. You don't need $1 million. And I'm telling you,
it might be my internet because it is storming outside.
It could be. It doesn't cost a lot to run for office on a local level. I can tell you from experience when I ran for Salt Lake County Council. You know how much it cost me to run for office? $75 to put my name on the ballot. I didn't do no campaigning, none of that. What I did, I walked out on the street in the busiest parts of the county and I talked to people. I talk to people all the time. That's the best campaigning you can do is word of mouth. You can have the fancy banners and the lawn things, but if you're not talking to people, they don't know what they're voting for. And when you go talk to people and they don't see your sign around and you hand them a little pamphlet, they'll take you more seriously because they know you're not part of that sensationalism and all that good stuff, right? So seriously, kinfolk, 2020 is coming. Run for city council. And if you have, if you have any issues or questions, you can, I mean, Cousin Tons is closer to if y'all in Georgia, Cousin Tons is closer to y'all than I am. To help you and give you advice, things like that. Y'all can email me. Y'all got me on Facebook, right? Y'all can message me, and we can talk. We can talk through and chop it up and get you going. But we have to we have to change the narrative where people are saying Black folks don't care about their communities. We have to change that because we do care about our communities, no matter what letters by your name. So we need to get up in the middle of it and be like, this is what we're trying to do. Do you have any last words, cousin?
Yes. Yes.
All right, sounds like it's catching up. Yeah, it's definitely internet is definitely slow. Well, I want to appreciate everybody for taking their hour out of their day to listen to this. Remember, we're gonna be doing this every Wednesday. We're gonna chop it up. We're gonna talk to everybody, get everybody on point, get past these hurdles, and talk about how we're going to advance.
Yes.
Right, and get back on track.
I agree.
We need to get back to the Booker T days, right? The Douglas days. We need to get that mentality back, right? Where we stand up for everything, right? So until next time, y'all, peace, love, happiness, like Don Cornelius said. And so, but I gotta go there, showing my age, y'all, showing my age. But anyway, I appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week.